Welcome back to Slacker Gaming and welcome back to the Royals Dynasty Rebuild. In this episode, we're going to be going over everything in the offseason. We're going to try to maybe possibly get some trades done. We're going to also try to see if we can sign some people in free agency. I don't know how free agency is going to go this year, but it could go well or it could be kind of a floppy free agency. But you'll find out in this video. So if you'd like to watch that, stick around. Alright, so this is what we decided to do. We've got one of our top prospects here, and we're going after a guy that we wanted to draft last year, but he was not available. Now, for them it makes sense because they already have a 22-year-old Brady House kind of holding down the line, so they don't really need him. So for them to make this trade, it would really make sense because they're going to be getting a top end prospect, which is what they're seeking, is a starting pitcher. They're going to be getting a top end prospect from us, age 20, Benito Blanco. The reason I'm okay with parting ways with him is our starting pitchers, we have a ton of them. Like we got Jesus Hernandez, Nick DaCosta, like we got a bunch of really good starting pitchers that are really, really young. So I'm not really too taken back by giving them one of the top prospects because I feel like Kenny Winchester is going to be more useful for us earlier than Benito Blanco would be. And Benito Blanco is 62 overall, 20 years of age. Winchester's 18 and already 68 overall. So to me, it makes sense. And then we ended up throwing in Will Klein just to make the trade happen and to free up a spot for the 40-man, so that way we have the ability to draft in the Rule 5 if we decide to. All right, Brewers, what you got? Okay, a prospect for Zach Veen. Ooh, interesting. Because we kind of just got done talking about how Zach Veen really needs to make that next step this year, or we're probably going to ship him out, and he might have just bailed us out here because this guy's pretty darn good. I'm going to say yes. What do they need? Yeah, they could use a right fielder. Yeah. Okay. I think we do this trade, honestly. So what they're doing is they're giving up their center field. They're giving up a center field prospect. They don't really need this prospect because they got this guy, Jackson Chirino, and he's going to be, obviously, look at his salary. I mean, they're paying him for the future. He's a star in center field, so they don't really need a center field guy. What they do need is a right field guy that they can trust and well, they think they can trust and count on, besides Michael Conforto, who's decreasing in value and decreasing overall, and that's what they're getting in Zach Veen. He will be their starter as far as overall goes, and the potential is there. Now, Zach Veen for us has really been struggling down in the minors, so it was one of those this year. It was like, hey, if you don't have a good year, then, you know, we might need to move on from you. And we have a right fielder right now that we believe in Kerry Carpenter. So that being said, I think it's honestly a really, really good trade for us and a really good trade for them, which is why I feel like it's a legitimate good trade for both sides. They're going to get their starting right fielder, and we are going to get some more young top-end prospects. And I really like what he has, and look at that growth just from last year. He's 19 years of age, B potential. I'm assuming a higher B potential just based on the fact that he's a top prospect. You see that there on the center field right there. That is a top prospect symbol. And so that's telling me, see, we got a few of them as well. That's telling me that he's probably a high-end B, meaning he could go A, or he's going to be an 88, 89, that type of thing. So this is a perfect trade for both sides. Let's go ahead and make the trade. So already in the before free agency started, and boom, we got our hitting coach. Before free agency started, we have already picked up a player. Oh, Marlins got something. Okay, Marlins, what you got here? Everyone wanting to trade with the Royals? Absolutely not. I don't even know who you want, but that's not going to happen. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. It's a pointless trade. It is literally a pointless trade. All right. Today, yes. Yes. All right. So let's jump into free agency one. Let's see who ended up in free agency, and we'll take kind of a look at who who we think we need. Last year in free agency, I felt like we did pretty good. We didn't get any high-end guys, but that's not what the Royals do. The Royals don't really go get high-end guys and spend all this money on talent like that. They go out and get guys that are kind of towards the end of their career but are still pretty good, and they'll pay them, and they'll come in, they'll play well, and then they'll trade them later in the season when, you know, we're not going to be making the playoffs. And that's what we did last year. Last year at the mid-season, we were struggling, and then we went in and made some trades, some big trades, and I really like the way our team is looking this year. So that being said, let's take a look at what we think we might need in free agency. So starting pitchers last year, we got a couple, and they actually did really, really well for us. One of them was Lorenzen, and he did very well for us, so we're keeping him. Now, Lorenzen now is probably a guy that we look to trade this year. So if we're looking at the starting potential, Reagans is our 1, Brady Singer is our 2 for sure, and then Lorenzen, Lynch, Asa Lacy is kind of where it falls off. I think Asa Lacy is safe here in the rotation, so I would say not necessarily that he's our 3, but Lacy, Singer, Reagans, and Lorenzen I think will be at least the top 4. Then we go down to Daniel Lynch, who is kind of off again, on again, off again type of player. So again, not a guy that we're looking just to kind of use him for inning fill. Same thing with Chris Bubich. He came out of the pen last year and did very, very well for us. So a guy that we really want to keep around, but he's not going to be in our starting rotation, meaning one of these guys down here is either going to be coming up and making their debut, and Valdez might be that guy. I think he might be that guy, but it wouldn't hurt to go out and get some starting pitching that we could possibly move around, especially since I feel like besides Valdez, I'm really struggling to see someone that is going to be up here. I think Kuehler could possibly be, but I don't also want to bring him up and then have him just get blitzed. Same thing with Klimny. I think another year for him, another year for Walters and AAA would benefit both of them. I think this year we might possibly pick up just one starter, a starter that we can kind of get that's under the radar, that's going to be kind of good, but also not cost a fortune. Relief pitching, this is where I kind of want to look at and see if there's some good relief pitching in this year, just because last year, we had really good guys, but look, they're all in their 30s, besides Carlos Hernandez, who killed it. And they're, low 70s, which, I mean, that's okay for relief pitching, but I don't have much for relief pitching down here. And if we are going to make that playoff push, which this year I think we're going to be above the 500 line, we're going to be pushing for the playoffs. I think we can make it into the playoffs. We're going to need some good relief pitching. The closing pitcher, I think James McArthur, we give him another chance. I feel like he did good last year, so I don't really want to go out and spend for a top end closer. This might be something that once we get to mid-season, if we're okay, he's just not doing it, he's not cutting it, he's getting too many blown saves or whatever, then possibly at that point we go out and try to trade maybe even some prospects or something like that for a top end closer that we feel like can definitely close us out with some games, because they're out there. There's plenty of closers in the game. There's plenty of closers around the league. So we just kind of need to fill in that spot. I don't want to spend a ton of money in free agency to do that. I want to have the ability later on, if we want to, if we need to go out and trade then, or go out and kind of move and wheel and deal and stuff like that. Catchers, I think we're good. So I think Salvi probably starts the year in the majors. I know he's going down, but Salvi it's his last year of his contract. He's probably going to retire after this year. If he doesn't, we'll extend him for another year or whatever. But Salvi is going to retire as a Royal. He'll be on the team. Whether or not he plays is kind of to be seen. But Blake Mitchell, I think this is the year we bring him up and see what he can do. The problem is Freddie Fermin is good enough, and he's good enough defensively to keep at catcher. So Blake Mitchell really just kind of needs to see game time, game action and stuff, but also we don't want to kind of destroy his confidence. I don't know how often he starts necessarily, but I do think he gets some playing time and some good playing time here, and we'll see kind of how he does kind of move these guys around, see how they do. I don't really want to spend money for a catcher when we have a good one in Fermin, and we're trying to get Mitchell some playing time. First base, we're going to be fine. Pasquantino is doing great. He had a great year last year. Nick Pratto, I'm going to start in the majors as well. So both of them are going to be getting some playing time, especially with Salvi really dropping off as the DH. That's going to leave some room for Nick Pratto to get some of those at-bats there as well. I think he's definitely earned the ability to get at-bats. Second base, I think we're fine. I think maybe India, depending on how he does this year, I think India might be a guy that we either move on from or we look to kind of move and get some spots to fill in later. I think Massey is going to hold us down at least for another year or two until we can get either a prospect up here, whether that be Fujita. I thought Kasavich. Some of these guys might see some playing time this year too, especially if some injuries happen and kind of move around. And there's a couple of shortstops I think I want to move to second base and try to get them some playing time as well. Third base, I think we're good. I think Sato comes up and plays. I think Santos gets some playing time. I think we're good at third base. I don't think that's really a position that we need to look at, especially in free agency. Shortstop, again, not going to really look at in free agency here. We got plenty of good shortstops. I mean, we got Bobby Witt, who arguably is the best shortstop in the game right now. Clearly not on the sim, but in real life, he is one of the best shortstops in the game. Left fielders, this is where we're going to kind of run into some problems, is getting some outfield help. So I think Brian McClendon, who is our number 2 overall draft pick, number 1 round, our number 1 guy, Brian McClendon, I think starts the year in the majors. He's going to kind of be like Orlando Hernandez did last year. He's going to start in the majors. We're going to kind of build him up and see how he goes. Orlando Hernandez, huge year for him. He started, I believe, at a 72, 73 or something like that. And look at all those pluses that have raised him up. Now he's an 80 overall. So that's kind of what we want to see out of Brian McClendon as well. We're going to bring him up into the majors at age 19. And Tyler Gentry might see some playing time, might just see, some bench spots there. As far as that goes, there's really no other left fielders that we have right now that I feel like could even be helpful in the majors. Go to center field. Now, this is where we're going to kind of run into, okay, we're looking at Jeremy De La Rosa. Okay, we're looking at Gavin Cross. We're looking at them to make big steps this year in the minors. Otherwise, it's like, well, by the time you're ready for the majors, you're going to be 28, 29 years old, kind of like Isbell, and we don't really need that. So we're going to see some movement in here. I think this is probably how it's going to start at the beginning of the season. Jake Fox probably goes down to maybe AA. We'll have to see how it all works out and stuff. We probably leave Jeremy De La Rosa on AA so he can get at-bats. Andre Reyes down there going to get some at-bats as well. And then right field, Kerry Carpenter is our starting right fielder. But again, we're going to need some right fielders. And so maybe we go out and get an outfielder that's going to help in right or left, kind of just to take at-bats, or maybe even just a big arm guy, helpful on defense, that type of thing. McClendon starts it, Orlando Hernandez starts it, and Kerry Carpenter starts it. But then like the backups like Blanco, Isbell, Gentry, all of them are very big drop-offs when it comes to production in the outfield. So I think we probably try to go after a starting pitcher that is cheap but can kind of give us some innings. I think we might look at some relievers and see how they're doing, how they're going for, and then I think we go ahead and find an outfielder or two to try to help in the outfield, to try to take at-bats and stuff like that, or someone that has a really, really good arm or something like that to help us out there. So let's jump into free agency. Once I jump into it and I'll start simming and we'll see kind of who comes in. All of this stuff I'll take care of as well. Probably won't do any trades, but we already made a trade that I think has benefited our team. Moved on from Zach Veen already for a younger prospect in center field, which I'm happy about. So kind of moved on from there, but we'll jump into free agency and I'll sim and let you guys know what happens. Ryan Helsley going to the Nationals. I think he was the top. Dylan Cease going to the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are making a push because the Blue Jays are trying to sign. They signed one of the top starters, and Cease. I think Cease was the top starter available. And then they're trying to get Bichette maybe, and Vladdy, I believe. They're trying to get all those. I'll open it up for you guys to see because, yeah, they're trying to get baby Vlad. It looks like the Boston's taking over that, and then the Bichette. They're still in the running for him. So, yeah, they got him, and then they got another top guy. So they're really trying to make some pushes here after the first day. If you want to know who we're going after, we got an offer out for Saval. I think he would benefit us. I think he would fit in. He would be our like number 3 guy. Has had last 3 years have been pretty darn good for him. And Tampa Bay, I think he would definitely benefit us. And I believe we offered him to 4 years, $40 million, so $10 million a year for him. We went after Kopech, who I think could definitely help us in the relief role. He's getting better, and look at those 2 ERAs year to year. I mean, I guess, okay, you can't look at this as only 28 innings necessarily, but that's pretty darn good. I mean, that's double the innings, still 282. I mean, that's still good. He's getting better. Looking at his attributes, he's still going up. He's 29, A potential. He would be a steal, I think. Then we offered Jorge Lopez as a reliever. It looks like we've been outbid for him. We went Hunter Renfroe again out in the outfield because he's still getting better. Don't know how, but 251. If he can have another good year, it would be beneficial to us, and or it would be a good trade option later on. You know, taking a look at the contacts and the powers and everything. We did another relief pitcher here. It looks like we're still in the lead for him. 253 last year. I mean, he's had it low 3s or 2s every year for the last 3 years. So definitely a good relief pitcher. And then Marcell Ozuna, again, another outfield guy that, you know, he's been, if you look at this, he's getting worse, but that's fine because look at the last 3 years. The average has been up actually in the last 3 years. So wanted to take kind of advantage of that, whether or not he gets, you know, traded or whatever, definitely beneficial to us. And then another starting pitcher in Mike Soroka down there as well. I think he could definitely benefit us at 438, 489. So he's had some kind of off years, but I do think he would actually benefit us in the long run, having us, you know, an extra guy as a starter. I think he would definitely be used. Well, he could be used in the bullpen. We'll have to see how we end up using him, but definitely a guy that's worth taking the risk on, only offering him, $22 million over 4 years for him. So that's what we're doing with that. We've also offered arbitration. We've offered tender contracts, all of that good stuff. So we got to do our 40-man here in a little bit. But we're going to basically kind of keep going through free agency and see who we end up getting, because I don't want to do the 40-man and then get a bunch of free agencies and have to drop people off and stuff like that. So that's kind of what we are waiting for in free agency, and then we'll kind of go from there. So Dylan Tate is a relief pitcher we got as well. Want to throw that in there. We signed him 3-year, $11 million for him, and just to take a look at him, just so you guys can see him. Boom. 207 last year, 276 the year before. Definitely good enough to be like, okay, yeah, you're in. Dang, lost out on Kopech. Yep, Vladdy goes to Boston. We got Aaron Saval, which is good, so he signed. Dustin May to the Rangers. Will Smith to the Cubs. To re-sign Brady Singer to a 3-year, $33 million contract, avoiding arbitration. So that's a pretty good sign there. Massey signed him to a 3-year deal to avoid arbitration there as well. And then we didn't sign anybody from the Aaron Saval, $10 million a year. We saw that one. Rays, what do you got for me here? Okay, shortstop, which I don't think we need. Especially for Osiegna. Okay, he's too good of a relief pitcher for us right now. And yeah, just not really worth the trade-off here. So we were able to sign Jorge Lopez to a 3-year, $12 million a year, so $4 million a year for him. And then Mike Soroka signing 4-year, $22 million for him. So our bullpen and our starting pitching kind of to come around here. And everything's kind of looking up. The only people we don't have signed for us are some outfielders, but we could definitely sign them later. Lane Thomas goes to the Angels. Paddock goes to the Rangers. So the Rangers push in free agency again. Bo Bichette finds himself on the A's. I mean, I'd take the money, I guess, but not probably going to win there, buddy. Brian Woodruff going to the Astros. Hoskins going to Arizona. It's a good pickup for Arizona. JT Realmuto going to the Cleveland, so I have to deal with him again. Only a 1 year, $9 million though. Naylor, Josh of the Variety, signs a big contract with the White Sox, so have to see him again too. Okay. Hunter Renfroe going to the Padres. Michael King going to the Mets. Okay, Athletics, what do we got here? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Nope. No. Not going to happen. Sorry. All right, winter meetings. So Rule 5 is in 4 days. Winter meetings are now, I believe we're going to go through and they'll do all of the arbitration hearings in this one, I believe. So we'll kind of know more. So we did get Ozuna. So we got Ozuna to a 2 year, $8 million. So $4 million a year for Ozuna. So that kind of fills us up there. I believe we have 40 on our 40 man, right? 38 and 2. Yeah. So we have 40 on our 40 man. Hey, the draft lottery. So we are at 15. Now last year we had like a number 11 or whatever jump all the way to the top. So keep that in mind when we're going through this, that, you know, we might jump up. 15's not where we're necessarily going to be. I would love to jump up at least a couple spots before, you know, the actual draft, but we'll have to see what the draft lottery says. Our luck, we probably drop down. Apparently it takes a while. Nope, we stay where we're at. The White Sox jump all the way to the number 1. Athletics finally get lucky. They jump up. Yankees jump up a couple. Crazy to see the Yankees have that lower record. Mariners and Padres jump up. So who was number? Oh, Padres jumped up 9. The Tigers dropped down drastically, and the Nationals, they both dropped 6. So the Nationals and the Tigers were 1 and 2. They dropped down all the way to 7 and 8. We stay at 15. We don't move anywhere, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. Whatever. I mean, it is what it is at this point. So we're happy with that, and then we'll come back with the Rule 5 draft. So speaking of the Rule 5 draft, went out and got Jake Fox from us. It's all right. Really is all right. All right, pick a player. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good, honestly. I don't see anybody here that I'd really want. Pass the Rule 5, and we are on to arbitration negotiations. We're free agency again. Trade talks, and we will kind of just keep going. Probably just some all the way up to spring training. So let's go ahead and get that done. All right, Lynch. Arbitration sided with Lynch, 2.2. Okay. 2 mil for him. 3.9 for Bubic. 1.4. 5 mil. 2 mil. 0.3. So a lot of them were close, because I know I did like 1 mil and it was like 1.3. So I mean that is 300,000 more, but still, I mean it's remotely close. I guess we need to look at, yeah, we still got quite a bit though. 40 million, even after other arbitrations. So that's going to do it for this episode. Next episode, we're going to start year 3. We're going to be into spring training, where we're going to have a bunch of different position battles and stuff like that, and figuring out our starting rotation and our starting lineups. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Also, feel free to hit the red subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any of the Kansas City Royals Dynasty Rebuild. Until next time, Slacker out.